Hello, welcome to Podnas. This is a sports show with a Southern flair. I'm Daniel Hawks. That's Jared Roser, and today we are unfortunately we're just going to talk about it. Let's just get into it. We're going to talk about what happened on Saturday. I guess we have to.
I think
Saints. Oh, go ahead. Yes,
I think it's really important to address in today's culture a very serious problem that I've now fallen victim to. We have issues with AI going on, and there are a lot of deep fakes. And I'm in a lot of places on the internet expressing a lot of confidence in that LSU football team last week, whether it be on Podnas, on the Louisiana versus all y'all channel, or on Locked On SEC, or there was maybe some voice stuff going around, some radio stations that allegedly got me. Could not have been me, obviously.
right.
After watching Saturday,
I get it.
yeah,
Yo, I
yeah,
totally get that.
they got me. The internet got me.
Yeah, no, I understand, and that happens. That happens a lot sometimes. I, what I someone that is a Tide fan, someone in my life, they follow me on Instagram. They DM'd me, "Roll damn Tide, baby," and I woke up and without even like looking, I just said, "Well, at least I don't have to wake up an Alabama fan," which is true. Okay, and that's just true. At least I don't have to wake up and root for the state of Alabama, which I still think should succeed and just go and be removed from the earth and maybe just float up by Pluto or Uranus somewhere. They
Were
can
you
just
looking
take all of them.
for secede over succeed, secede?
Yeah.
There was a moment there where I thought I had an in for one of my favorite jokes for you guys, where I say, "Oh, well, what's his name?" when you talk about a date, or in this case, an Instagram DM. But that DM was very clearly a man who was excited about Alabama football. There's no
Here's
other
the
way
thing.
around
You
that.
were wrong. You would be wrong.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. I won't put her on blast, but also because I don't remember what her handle is and I don't want to take the time to look it up right now. But there we go.
Sounds as forgettable as that game Saturday.
Yeah. So let's, I guess, get into it if we have to. It just didn't look good from the jump. Remember that thing about how as this LSU team going to handle a running quarterback? I don't know if they know right now.
No, they don't. And
I don't know if they have an answer to that. So much less us.
Hats off to Jalen Milroe, who is a phenomenal athlete, and so
yes.
it's not
1000%.
it's not always as easy as just scheming it up. Players are going to make plays too, but he was running wild early and often. Ended up with 185 yards and I think it was 12 carries, and so big explosive plays. Found the end zone 4 times. He had the long touchdown run right off the bat, where you kind of knew. One of the writers I was sitting next to, Zach Nagy, was saying going into the game, I think we're going to know a lot about this game in the first quarter. And I said, yeah, probably so. And then very quickly said, so much for that first quarter for LSU.
Yeah, first drive.
Look, we did. We knew a lot about that game really quickly. It just wasn't what people in that stadium were hoping to learn. And it continued to spiral. I mean, Alabama started 5 for 5 on third downs. That was huge on their second drive to go up and be at 14 points. The turnover bug continued for LSU, where you had chances to cut back into that, potentially tie the game, potentially cut it to a one score deficit, and then instead turnovers happen, and so it just continued to spiral over the course of the night.
Yeah. I mean, at least I don't think Mobile Mardi Gras is like a good thing. So
no.
Yeah.
And I imagine
I
imagine that we will not have to worry about fake impost tigers, or however you would say that word.
Yeah.
I think we're done with that. The Omar Bradley game is going to live in infamy for the long haul.
It was just rough to watch. So, I was listening to Rosillo last week, and he mentioned something. And he was talking about the Milwaukee Bucks team and how you don't know in sports when the breaking point is probably for a team, or and in a season, maybe until you look back after. And he's talking about specifically with the Bucks, posing the question that is this kind of run with them. If you look back on it, there was a playoff series where the Miami Heat beat the Bucks, where Giannis went out, and that is kind of if you're looking back on it, where things kind of started to at least take a downfall for that Milwaukee Bucks team and everything that happened, firing Budenholzer, all NBA stuff that we could talk about later. Is Texas A&M putting in Marcel Reed the breaking point of the LSU season?
Yeah. And look, I think some folks know that I like the Bucks, so I've been living through that nightmare for the last
Yeah.
year and a half since that first round series against the Heat a couple years ago. And I think right now for LSU, that certainly was obviously the breaking point for the playoff potential of this LSU team. It it's not completely out of the realm of possibilities for them to backdoor in, as chaotic as this year has been. I think the odds of that are so slim though,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that it all started to spiral at that point midway through the third quarter in College Station, and the same issues that cost you in the second half of that game remained the issues that cost you when you come back from the bye against Alabama. And I think that's one of the most frustrating parts for LSU fans right now is they listened to 2 weeks of talking about being able to clean up some of those issues, knew what they needed to address. One of the things that I was encouraged by is under Brian Kelly, LSU has done a really nice job of bouncing back from losses. And so I thought that, there was reason to believe they would clean that up. And that just simply was not the case. At the same time, Brian Kelly's teams have finished seasons strong for the most part. They're in a similar situation to a year ago when a lot seemed to be lost in terms of the playoff potential. And they ended up finishing the season really strong, ended up a 10-win season. And so I have a level of confidence they're going to come out here, finish November strong with 3 winnable SEC games, and then we'll kind of see how we look back on this season as a whole. And I think it's also important, as much as we look at this season and the disappointment at times, particularly 2 of the last 3 weeks on Saturdays, that the reaction from a lot of fans is to quickly throw the whole big picture under the bus and think Brian Kelly and the staff and everything is it's not going to work out long term, and people want to fire Brian Kelly, which financially isn't going to happen, and people want to move on from Joe Sloan, which I don't know that that's going to happen unless he's getting a head coaching job elsewhere, et cetera, et cetera. This program is still in such a better place right now than it was 3 years ago when they hired him.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of foundation being laid, and fans are not patient for things like that. But this is potentially a 3 straight 10-win season team with one of the top 2025 recruiting classes, including an absolutely unreal quarterback in the mix right now. And so there's a lot to be optimistic about long term, but as far as right now, it's understandably frustrating to watch how the last 3 weeks have gone.
And one thing I didn't understand is Caden Durham only got 8 carries, and he was rushing for 7.9 yards a carry. And something that we talked about, like establishing the run, is to take pressure off of Nussmeier instead of him throwing 40 times when it's not working. And Caden looked really good. So that was I think the frustrating part to me. It was like, why aren't I understand that they were in a hole. You kind of get in a game script where you feel like you have to come back because you don't know if you can stop this Alabama team. It didn't feel like it, and the score certainly agreed with that. I mean, Alabama's 14, then 7-7, then another 14. And LSU couldn't get anything off the ground. So I understand abandoning the run, but getting him involved, even sticking with the run, I think just helps balance the offense out just a little bit more.
That's actually what I wrote coming out of Monday's Brian Kelly press conference. If folks check out
Really? Hey, I didn't even read that. Look at it. Are we podnas or something? Look at us.
if folks want to go over to the Bengal Tiger on the On3 network, essentially there have been moments, and I'm a pretty forgiving reporter, pretty glass half full, optimistic person in general, but there have been times where the way that coaches react to things really confuse me. And in that year, listening to Ogeron talk after the UCLA loss was when I wrote one of my stories about okay, we know what needs to get fixed. It's the same stuff that needed to get fixed last year. Okay, it's been over a year, and you're saying you can see looking back at the game what needs to get fixed. But if you're going to be a successful coach, you need to have a better handle on doing that before the game over the course of a year and a half than
Right.
talking about it after over and over and over again. And look, it's more complicated than that. There's a lot that goes into it, and guys are out there. It's 11 guys that all have to be on the same page, et cetera, et cetera. In this instance, now going on a month of Brian Kelly after early in the season talking about, in response to our questions about the run game, we're taking what the defenses are giving us. They're stacking the box, so we're going to throw the ball. We're having a lot of success there. Somewhere that changed to him admitting we need to do a better job of establishing the running game. We've got to find that balance. And then coming out of these last two games after an Arkansas game where they felt like they'd taken a step forward, that's been a talking point of, we're going to figure it out. Joe understands that we want to run the football more. Yeah, but you guys needed to understand and do that going into the game, not talk about, okay, now that we've lost two straight, we're going to get this right for the last three down the stretch. Again, more complicated than that may make it sound, but you're still only down 2 scores in that game until late in the third quarter. And you're going against a team that is in the bottom 3 in the SEC in run defense, and you'd had some success there, averaging over 4 yards a carry. You mentioned Durham. I know they wanted Josh Williams in there for some pass pro stuff, but
even still, like it finds me hard to believe that you don't have a shotgun set with 2 running backs and you can't get both involved. Like, at a certain point, like, it looked like Caden was the playmaker. He busts off that long run, that 45-yard run, which is beautiful. I want to get him the ball more. I want to find ways to get him the ball more. And if I do need some pass protection, because maybe I want Caden to run like a little short out, and he did have 4 receptions, -2 yards, whatever. But then there's ways to, like, still get some extra pass protection in there to help you with that. So it was just frustrating. It's frustrating to lose to Alabama, especially like a team that has had LSU's number for so long, for all of basically the Saban era, we get peppered with little victories here that we could, as fans, rejoice about, and then this just seems like more of the same. So I want to see some progress. I want to see this LSU team take care of business versus a very crappy Florida team. That just doubled down on their head coach. So that's what I want to see coming out of this. But, I also want to see myself married to Dua Lipa, and I don't feel like that's going to happen. So who knows,
Are you making any progress there? How's that going?
No, I actually just have been thinking about it a lot. So I'm manifesting right now. I'm in that manifesting stage.
Yeah. Well, there's elements to this Tigers football season that feels like it's still in the manifesting stage in mid-November right now.
Well, I'm glad that we have something in common, maybe that's why they lost. So do you have any other thoughts about this LSU game before we move on?
No, I know we've got a lot of stuff to hit. I certainly do have additional thoughts, but I think we've hit a lot of these bases. And
I was going to say, talk about catching L's. You caught an L this week. I told you not to pick Bama State. I told you not to do it. And you went ahead and did it. Grambling went ahead and won. And I got 1 win on you. Right now, I am down by 8. It is 46-27, 46-27 for me, and 53-19 in our total pick'em records. But let's go over some of these games from college football this weekend. Jared, what do you got for us?
Yeah, man. Good for those Tigers. Good for the 2 SWAC teams in the state, both with thrilling wins late. You mentioned Grambling gets the 24-23 win against Alabama State. Southern, in 5 overtimes, ends up winning 25-23 against Bethune-Cookman. Kobe Dillon had 130 rushing yards in that game. Also, shout out in that Grambling game, Del J. Bailey, a guy I know well from his high school days in Mississippi. He gets his first start. He gets his first win as a starter for Grambling this week. Southeastern shut out Northwestern State 41-0. Nichols lost a game this weekend to Houston Baptist 24-21. And the group of 5 teams were split. Those Tulane and Cajuns teams that we've talked so much about absolutely ran Temple and Arkansas State out of town 52-6 and 55-19. Louisiana Tech loses homecoming in overtime to Jacksonville State up there in Ruston. And ULM lost to Texas State 38-17. And so mixed bag. Best news is we're not the state of Florida this week. There were some positives to take away, but definitely a mixed bag at best.
All right. One thing that made at least the weekend not a total loss is that the Saints did not lose to the Falcons.
This is Rismas.
Merry Rismas. The Saints come up with a big block, big field goal block, and it's fitting that that the interim head coach was a special teams coach, and that was kind of what pushed them over the edge in this game. Also, I just have to shout out to Rizzy, who injured himself because he was trying to hold Peyton Turner back, who was trying to do a Tyreek Stevenson and celebrate way too early.
It wasn't a lingering issue that he had re-injured himself from that toilet situation in the morning where he clogged up.
No.
Okay.
Also, come on, man. What are you doing? He got like one laugh on it and then like dug in. It was very, I was like, all right. Like I almost expected him to keep being like, because I clogged the toilet because of my poop from my butt. Like those, I felt like he's just gonna keep on going.
Those moments, and there's been some great interview, bathroom moments through the years. I know Lamar Jackson had one a few years ago. I remember I think it was Christmas Day one year, Steve Nash being interviewed after a game and talking about his rough start and what happened that he'd gotten right in the second half. And he said he really had a poo at halftime, essentially. And I think even watching that on television, and certainly anytime someone says something in an interview situation where it is a little bit out of the realm of normalcy, I think there's more of a reaction of, wait, there's no way that is what I think I just heard. Let me just sit this out. And so it takes kind of a second for it to really hit you. No, that's what he said, though. That is what he said.
If you do not know what we're talking about, there's an interview with head coach Rizzy for the Saints, and he basically said he was nervous, and the reason that he was nervous, because he was nervous, the first thing they did when he got to the facilities is clog the toilet, and then made sure that everyone knew it was because of his bowel movement. So, but. Man, I didn't mean to say but like that. In fact, though, he did beat the Falcons, and it was the saving grace of the weekend. As a Louisiana sports fan, I'm going to be honest with you. I did not wake up on Sunday feeling good about any situation I was going to walk into that day, and then Saints beat the Falcons. I'm not going to say anything about this team, but the losing streak is over. So the head coach bump really does work.
And I don't know, man. This same way Omar Bradley's curse over that LSU game, we probably don't have to deal with any more fake live Tigers. I don't know if this now has to become a part of every Darren Rizzi game where he clogs a toilet to start the day as soon as he gets to the arena or whatever. You got to stick with what works.
Maybe he could go across the street to the Smoothie King Center and start to clog up some toilets there. So at least it would maybe stop some injuries, because the Pelicans are reeling right now on the injury bug. DeJounte Murray, CJ McCollum, Jordan Hawkins, Zion Williamson, now Jose Alvarado added to the list. He's going to be out at least 6 weeks. You were talking about this off air. You've hit your boiling point. You've hit your watershed.
I'm out. I'm not out in terms of having issues with the franchise, and I'm not gonna hope for the Pels to do well, etc. But for this season specifically, best case scenario at this point is you just keep on losing, and hopefully for the Pels, the Bucks keep on losing as well, and you end up with 2 high picks in a really good 2025 class. Because you're right now, you lose to Brooklyn, who has been better this season than we anticipated, but it's still a Brooklyn Nets team with very low expectations for the season. You've lost twice to Portland. You are 3 games out of the play-in tournament right now, very early in the season. And as much as the NBA season is a marathon and people are quick to make knee-jerk jumps one way or the other about different teams, you are the walking wounded playing with a bench lineup most nights and in a Western Conference that making up ground throughout the course of this season when several of your, theoretically easiest games, most winnable games, several of them are already in your rear view. It's going to be tough sledding to climb your way up that list just to potentially get knocked out in the play-in. So, sag for flag or whatever the case may be, go get yourself some more ping pong balls for the summer.
Yep. Let me just read you some of the second stringers on this depth chart right now. So first off, and tell me if you know anything much about them. And I would consider us both pretty big NBA fans. Brandon Boston Jr. is the point guard. I don't even know where he went to college. I assume he's a very good basketball player because he's in the NBA. So he's in the upper echelon of that. But I couldn't tell you much about him whatsoever. Jeremiah Robinson Earl, no clue. Antonio Reeves, don't know. Jalen Noel, no cool. Daniel Tice Theus,
Tice.
he's 6'7". He's a center. He's Misia, I think, is the biggest bright spot right now. And we'll see Trey Murphy. Maybe he brings a little bit of spark back, a little bit, but it's just like you said, it is tough sledding to I guess, be frank with you here, folks. Louisiana sports, we're going through a little bit of a tough time right now. It's a little bit of a slog, unless you're a Tulane fan, or unless you're a Tulane and a Saints fan this weekend. Then you had a real good weekend. And Cajuns killed it. I don't have much else. I think it was we've had a couple Debbie Downer Monday, Tuesday episodes. So I know what I need to get my spirits up. Do you know what I need, Jared?
Absolutely. You need the plays of the week. And
hey, let's go.
This week, I've got a little bonus for you at the end of this as well. But jumping right into the plays, a guy that I believe has been in this feature before, 2025 LSU running back commit JT Lindsay, the Alexandria Senior High Trojans. That's where I was at Friday for this one, where he gets through 2 tacklers, spins off another.
Ooh.
And then opens up that 22-second 200-meter track speed.
I was going to say, he is quick. He has got some jets on his feet.
JT, again, he's an LSU commit, so there's help on the way in that 2025 class. He helps lead Alexandria to its first ever 10-0 regular season with a dominant 14-16 win over perennial power Neville, and so a big one there for JT and the Trojans. Staying in North Louisiana, I've got a couple different angles of this one where Jamarcier Plater for Captain Shreve, another fantastic running back, up over 2,000 yards for the season in his first year at running back, takes a quick little pitch and then has LaShawn Davis downfield, barely past a CE Bird receiver. A CE Bird defensive back in a big rivalry matchup. They complete that. We have an angle here for part of the play as well from our guys, our folks up at KTBS, including Alex Anderson up there with his top plays from Friday, where you get a little look at how close that pass was to LaShawn Davis up there. But Jamarcier is one of the most explosive juniors in the state this year, a guy that played a lot of DB early in his high school career. He's at running back this year and absolutely balling. Another young running back who's been fantastic. Thursday night, I watched History as Catholic High. Jaden Daniels right here, 2027, ran for a record in terms of his rushing touchdowns. Pass. But after one of the Bears' touchdowns in a 73-55 win at Zachary, you get the Wildcat little Tebow jump pass, exactly as you said. Jaden Miles, the 2027 running back, who I think is going to be one of the top prospects in that class. He rushed for 6 touchdowns, which folks that know Catholic high football, there have been some great running backs through the years. No one's rushed for more than that in a single game. He had those 6 rushing touchdowns. He had a receiving touchdown. He had the 2-point pass play right there on the fun one to Jude Chamberlain. And so great night for the sophomore. And the last of the plays of the week, going up to Franklin Parish, back up into the 3-1-8, and the quarterback, Desiree Ellis, we call him Pook. He fakes the handoff, and he is gone, makes a couple folks miss, shows some of his athleticism in the open field. Ooh. Franklin Parish, and then some of the athleticism after as well.
Oh, yeah. Look at him. Oh, I love that so much.
This is a 2026 quarterback for Franklin Parish. That's a clip from KNOE, Aaron Dietrich and company up there. They call him Pook. Pook Ellis helped lead Franklin Parish's first ever district championship in school history. And so they've got some good things going. He's going to be someone to watch in that 2026 class, whether it be at quarterback or as a receiver or defensive back. There's a lot to his game and to his athletic profile. And then those are the top plays of the week. But I wanted to show you this top celebration of the week, to me anyway. Here locally as well, a video clip from BR Proud and Brian Holland and company, Episcopal's Carson Furness. Ew. Oh, yeah, he's a U-High. Carson Furness did not lose his dinosaur.
Oh, man.
Step Brothers style, pops out the T-Rex after a touchdown.
Listen. I have my bones with Episcopal from my U-High days, but I cannot poo-poo on a good celebration to go with the theme for today. So those are our top plays of the week. If you would like to go vote on those, please head over to our Instagram, podnas_LA. Give us a follow. Check out the top plays of the week. We need you to tell us which one is going to be the winner. We'll announce that at our show later on in the week. You can follow the Louisiana versus All Y'all YouTube channel. Jarrett has got some great content up there for Louisiana recruiting, Louisiana sports, your one-stop shop for everything in Louisiana. Sporting is over at Louisiana All Y'all YouTube page. Also hit them up on Twitter, LA versus All Y'all. That's all I got for y'all today. Jerry, you want to say anything for the people?
It's high school playoff time, so make sure to check all that stuff out. A lot of preview content that'll be hitting in the next couple of days, and then we'll get out to some games Thursday and Friday.
That's all we got for you. Podnas out.
And it's a ticket talking margin for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta